Hello, with Genshin 5.0 around the corner, I know a lot of people are excited for the new region. Whether it's the new characters, lore, exploration, there's plenty of things to be excited for. But for me personally, I just want that new artifact set because I believe that this new set will be game changing as there's just so many possibilities with it. By understanding why it's so strong, we can plan for future units and potentially revitalize some older teams and make new teams that would have never been dreamed of because of this new artifact set alone. Potentially using Geo as the new VV Double Swirl? Using double animal supports and not throwing? Yeah, you're gonna be able to do some crazy things with this. So let's get cooking! So, what is this new set? It's called a Scroll of the Embered City's Hero. I will just be calling it a hero set for the rest of the video though. So what does it exactly do? But before I get to that, first I'll go over the new Nightsoul Blessing. This is a new mechanic for Natlan specific characters. Just imagine these as Wanderer's Bar on the side where they get enhanced attacks. But that's besides the point. The main thing you have to know is that every Natlan character should be able to easily obtain the Nightsoul Blessing with our current ones able to just skill and get this blessing. Back to the artifact. We will not be looking at a 2-piece and just focus on a 4-piece. As we can see, if you trigger an elemental reaction, the two elements involved get a 25% damage bonus increase and physical. So don't worry Eula, you're not left out. This alone can be used on any supports that are on non-mono element teams which already rivals our current support sets. The next part in purple will be for Natlan specific characters but is just an additional 25% elemental damage bonus. This is a lot. For comparison, Kazo gives 40% damage bonus at 1000 EM, Yelan grants up to 50% damage bonus but averages out to 25, Furina, depending on her fanfare stacks, give 25% at 100, 50 at 200, and 75 at 300 at C0. This buff is no joke, and you can also proc it off field. So let's see how it stacks against its competitors. There are currently 3 types of support artifacts. Those which provide Red Shred, that being Viridescent and Veneer, and Deepwood, with VV needing to swirl and Deepwood needing skills or burst to hit the enemy. As you know, these are generally must-haves for your team as they are such a massive damage increase. Next will be our simple attack-giving artifacts such as Noblesse and Tenacity. Both provide 20% attack, with Tenacity require consistent skill application while Noblesse just requires you to burst. These are generally nice sets and always a nice way to boost your team's damage. Lastly, we have our damage bonus giving sets, that being Archaic Petra and our new hero set. Both sets require you to trigger an elemental reaction, but our hero set is much less restrictive as 1, it's not locked to Geo, 2, it doesn't only boost one type of elemental damage at a time, and 3, you don't need to pick up the crystallized shards. Plus, it also gives 15% more damage bonus compared to Archaic Petra. Just think of this new artifact set as the upgrade. As you can see in my chart with Diluc in a solo situation, our new set is around VV level, but it is much more versatile and affects every single element, plus physical, and can be procced off field. Also, getting a buff rather than debuffing enemies means against multi-wave content, you will be consistently having increased damage while VV would have only worked for the first wave, before you have to reapply it. Just imagine this as Pela in Honkai Star Rail and you killed all the enemies on the screen and there's no more defense threat. And guess what? Nothing's stopping you from putting both VV and the hero set on the same team. The 2-piece is already better than Noblesse and it can be easily procced off field. Okay, but before we put on our tinfoil hats, let's see how the elements react with each other to know what teammates can be used with who with this artifact set. For my chart, we can see that Pyro and Hydro have the most reactions, tied with 5, making it the most versatile element for this set. Pyro Archon. Next would be Geo and Anima with 4 reactions. Anything that can apply an aura, you can crystallize and swirl, besides Dendro. As such, you could think of both functioning in the same manner in what's gonna come up. Electro also has 4, but doesn't work with Geo, but rather Dendro instead. Speaking of Dendro, it has the least reactions possible with only 3, and as such, future Dendro characters may not use this set to the best degree in terms of versatility. So, now we just gotta ask ourselves, what type of characters are we looking for in our upcoming future characters so they can abuse this set? Firstly, I believe that they must have off-field application, whether it's in a form of coordinated attacks like Yelan, summons like Yao Yao, or markings like Nahida. This way, they don't need to be on field, taking away time for our DPSs to do damage while still maintaining the set buff. Next would actually be their role. Either sustain or damage support would both be fine. As you can see, pretty easy requirements to meet. Now that we know all of that, it's time for the tinfoil hats to come on. For these scenarios, let's just imagine Yao Yao went to Natlan and became the avatar, mastering all 7 elements. Now Yugui will be just throwing elemental radishes at the enemy with her kit doing nothing else besides throwing these radishes. Now, what can we exactly do with this? The most interesting would be a Geo off-field character and how they can be like an Anemo with Virides and Veneer, as they both work on the same elements. So I assume many of you know the Bennet Double Swirl method with Kazuo and Xingqiu. The issue is, it only really works with Bennet as he applies pyro on himself. Generally speaking, with certain elements, they cannot coexist. One will disappear when the other element is applied, like Pyro and Hydro, or Pyro and Electro. So say you didn't have Bennet and used Diluc's skill instead into Kazuo to swirl Pyro, switching back to Xingqiu to skill or ult, back into Kazuo to get both Pyro and Hydro shred. 1. It takes too long to do. 2. The skill won't be up due to the cooldown. And 3. You're not going to have a long time with VV. This occurs because VV cannot be applied off-field unlike the new hero set. Rather, imagine you throw out a Geo Yugui and again use Diluc's skill to apply Pyro. Then Yugui attacks and causes Pyro crystallization. Boom, Pyro and Geo damage bonus. But when this reaction occurs, Pyro is removed. You then could just switch to Xingqiu and skill. Yugui hits again off-field, boom, Hydro damage bonus now. This is way more effective and can work with various elements such as Pyro and Electro. Kazuo and Chefru's who? But I have to note that when the aura does exist, you need the Geo to apply enough gauge to override the aura. You can look it up on a wiki, but I can explain in the comments if needed. Now, let's look at Anemo. Generally speaking, you only ever need one Anemo support on the team. You either got Kazuo or you got Sucrose. You only need one grouper and only one person can apply VV shred. Now let's say Yao Yao was feeling Anemo that day. And let's say you applied Pyro with Bennet and used Kazuo to swirl to get his buffs and shred the enemy. You can then switch to Yao Yao and throw out your air radish because Pyro was still there being reapplied by Kazuo. You now got the Pyro damage bonus too on top of VV. Like, come on, this is OP! Now, an interesting way to use this set is if your main DPS or driver uses this set while being on field. Realistically speaking, against other DPS related artifacts, you actually don't lose out too much if you're a Natlan character. Like the new Geo set, we only lost around 18% attack, while you basically gave your entire team a 50% damage bonus. So, say you had an Anemo DPS with this set and you wanted to use Taser for some reason, everybody would be getting that 50% damage buff. This also buffs physical too. I'm pretty sure you guys could come up with even more creative and interesting ideas, but these are just a few to name. And that's that. I'm really excited to see what Natlan has in store for us and potential supports that will come out. Though hopefully the Pyro Archon is just Bennet and Xianling combined and not tied to Circle Impact. But who knows. If you have any interesting scenarios, just put it in the comments. I'll be curious on what you guys can cook up. But thanks for watching and bye!